Well, hello again. Thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Kara, and this is a channel where I document a year-long low-buy project so that I can stay on a really tight budget so that I can pay as much of my income as possible on my student loans until they're gone, even though that will take more than just this year. But this project has been a great way to have some fun accountability and to just get a little more comfortable about talking about something that you don't always get to talk about or don't even want to, which is finances and debt. So anyway, yeah, welcome back. I have spent a lot of time outside for the last week. It has been so nice here in northern Idaho. It's finally starting to feel like summer. We've had some consistently warm, sunny days, and even though I've been going to work full time, I have gotten to take lots of bike rides, one or two 20-milers. I did one 30-miler, but that was kind of actually pushing it. I did it a little too soon. And I've taken a lot of long walks. It's just so nice out right now. And I'm getting a nice bit of early sun, maybe a little too much on the forehead, but I do love getting some sun. And you know, vitamin D production is good for your immune system, so don't be afraid to get sun. I hope that you can. I hope that you can get out and get some sun wherever you are. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I even have done a little bit of gardening. And I have no intention whatsoever to eat any of the stuff that comes out of the garden, but it is fun to get out there and dig in the dirt. And we've been building some like netting structures over the garden beds so that the chickens can't just peck everything to shreds. So it's fun to be out there getting things ready and having a chicken follow you around. And yeah, it's pretty fun. So really nice days outdoors. And yeah, so hope that you have some kind of outlet to get outdoors, and I am very sorry if you don't, because that is probably very hard to just live through, but it is also one of these negative effects that's going to be part of our society's experience for a while. But what I wanted to do was give kind of an update on my financial situation and just kind of what is the picture looking like these days, because we're kind of in the middle of a global pandemic and things are different. And I also finally got my stimulus check. I was waiting sort of in an experimental mood, wanting to see how long it took to get here. Anyway, like how I'm very fortunate to be in this situation where it's possible for me to go outside, and I know that that is not everybody's experience of the pandemic. I also have steady work, and so I had the ability to be in that experimental mindset and just say, I just want to see how long it takes this check to come. It's just a sign that I am more secure than so many people in my community and in my society. I'm so much more secure than a lot of people. I could wait, and I did. I just wanted to see how long did it take to get it, and I got it today. It is Monday, May 11th, and today, as I was returning from a long walk, I checked our mailbox and I had it. So I used my phone and I deposited it into my bank account, and there it is. So experiment's over, and now I wanted to talk about my plan and sort of kind of what is the financial picture for me at this time. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. I continue to work at a grocery store, and business continues to be very steady because, for one thing, people always need to eat, and now, for the most part, they're not going anywhere else except their own house. There are local restaurants open here that people can get takeout, and more of the restaurants are starting to plan how they will safely reopen and do more than just takeout. And I am wishing them the very best in those plans, and that they, for one thing, that they are approved and that they get to open, and also that they are able to do it in such a way that their customer base is comfortable coming and being there to eat. I know that people just won't go out to eat until they do feel comfortable. So I want the best for all of our local restaurants here. It's a major part of life here in Sandpoint. I really hope they do well, and that people trust one another and work together to make it a safe and possible thing. And I know that it has been and will continue to be more likely that people are buying groceries and eating at home. So that's my business, and it's been very steady. And also at the independent grocery store that I work at, we were given hazard pay that started in April. And so everybody in the whole store across the board got a $2 an hour raise, which I really appreciate. It made a huge difference, and it is really valuable, and it made such an impact on the staff when checks were written I think it was 2 pay periods ago. Checks were distributed and people started opening them up and finding a note inside from the owner of the store about how he cares about us and about how he knows that this time is strange, but that the store has been busy enough and that we've worked so well together and so hard to keep it going, that he just felt like it was the right thing to do to, for the foreseeable future, offer this across the board to everybody. So we have hazard pay, and it's lovely. It feels good to be valued in that way, and for our store's owner to acknowledge that when we all signed on for this work, we didn't expect to ever be working in these conditions, but here they are, and he's doing what he can to make it a little easier to just accept the reality of how it feels to work right now. Yeah, but I don't know how long that will last, so I do make plans. When I plan my finances and kind of look into the future, I always I estimate my income low and I estimate my expenses high, and that way usually by the time that it's actually that moment where the bills are due and the pay has arrived, that I end up sitting in a safe margin on either side, and that what I need to do works out. So it's nice to have that hazard pay. It's not something that I will count on long term, but he says for the foreseeable future, and our sales support it, so that's great. That's great. I'm glad he's very willing to pass it along to his employees instead of sitting on it or using it in some other way. So I have that little bump in income, but I still don't have any of my side gigs because the 2 families that I clean for, one elderly couple down the street and another elderly lady in another, a small town a short distance away, I am not going to enter their houses and clean for them while I am working in such a public place during a public health emergency. Excuse me, whether I feel very at risk or not, and I will admit that I don't feel very at risk, but it doesn't really matter how I feel. I work in the public, and now there are people coming here for the summer, and they're coming from all over, and I'm a little nervous about that, and they will shop at the store. So with my level of exposure to all different people all the time, I do not think it's a good idea for me to go into anybody's house, much less elderly people. So no side gigs cleaning. And then, of course, I have something of a regular dog sitting gig, but the couple who have that wonderful dog, all of their business trips are canceled. So I had a job lined up for May, I had a job with them in June, and one in the fall is still maybe possible. But again, no side gigs in the foreseeable future that I can count on. So shucks. So the hazard pay is very nice because other kinds of income that I had are definitely gone right now. What else impacts my financial picture right now? One thing that is really lovely is that my landlords, who are going to be moving here in a while, and the actual date of that keeps fluctuating, but when they move here, they want to be able to isolate from my housemate and I, which is wise. And in order to do that with the floor plan that this house has, I'm moving to a different bedroom. Then there's a way to separate my housemate and I from them, and everybody has bathrooms and everybody has a way to cook their food and everything will be okay, but I have to move in order to make that floor plan and isolation work. And so I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but they recognize that it is some upheaval for me and for my housemate, so they are waiving our rent in June. they are the sweetest people in the world. And I am, again, very lucky, and I'm aware that not everybody has these good surprises in their life right now. But I won't have to pay rent in June, which is amazing. And then my plan is to use my stimulus check as I've put it into savings for now, but then in July and beyond, I'm planning on using it as sort of a supplement to my rent. In a way, the stimulus is kind of taking the place of side gigs for the rest of the year. That's a good way to put it. I wonder if I can edit out all that blah, 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 blah. Anyway, and the other thing that kind of rounds out the financial picture for me right now is that there is no interest on my larger student loan right now. So I have 2 loan holders, and one is private, and so it's not part of the zero interest picture that the CARES Act created. But thankfully, that interest is super low. It's only like 2%. So while that continues to have interest, it actually only accrues about $1 a day. So as long as I keep making a nice payment on that, I usually pay around $150 to $160 on it. I will make good progress on that. And then the great thing is that my larger student loan that has a 6.8% interest rate, that one, the interest is frozen, and it felt so good to go log into the website that runs that. It's through Navient. It felt so good to log into Navient a few days ago and see the total, and then to log in again today and look at it, and it's exactly the same, because it usually grows by several dollars a day, like 7 or 8. Whew. So it's really great to not have the interest on that larger loan with the higher interest rate. And so my plan moving forward, as I've said, the stimulus check will sort of subsidize my rent through the end of the year. My pay is a little bit up for now, and it's weird because I have sort of a sense of survivor guilt. My financial situation during a global health crisis that is really, really throwing a wrench in so many lives. And people are even, of course, dying. And yet, for me, this has been a slight improvement financially. And it opens up a window of opportunity to pay down a lot of debt without any interest. It's really strange that it's a terrible, terrible situation. And I would actually rather this not be the case. But it so happens that for this time, my financial situation is slightly improved. And so in a way, I need to really aggressively take advantage of that window and not let anything good in the midst of this awful long stretch of crap be in vain. So I'm kind of going to work really hard and try to pay as much of this debt off, almost as like a homage to the people whose lives are really screwed right now. Yeah, I really feel strange that my situation is actually better in these days. So, yeah, I'm going to do my very best because I like owe that to the people who are feeling so much worse, doing so much worse. Yeah, it's weird, but that is the picture that I'm in, and that is what I plan to do. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure when I need to move from this room to another, but it will be fairly soon. It will probably be probably by the end of the month. Maybe it's in June. I'm not sure. But by the end of May, I will have started another cool thing, which is I'll start open water swimming here in Lake Pend Oreille. And I'm sure the water's going to be so cold, but I signed up for a swim that happens here in August. It's a pretty famous event called the Longbridge Swim, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And I've even run into some of the people who organize it, and they are not sure if it's going to happen or not. but on the chance that the Longbridge swim in some form does get to happen, I do want to train for it. So my goal is that by Memorial Day, I've started swimming. I have a wetsuit, I have a swim cap, I have no excuses. So hopefully when I give my May update at the end of the month, it includes the fact that I've started swimming in the freezing, freezing cold lake. Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully at that end of the month update, I hope that I have really good news to share about a super high percentage of my net income used towards my debt. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in a week. Hello once again, and I have been sitting here with notebooks going mad just because I got curious. I got really curious what the stimulus check actually meant for my budget, and I also have been a little disappointed with my ability to make my goal of using 75% of my net income for debt. Because let's see, what was it? My average so far this year is only 67, and my goal was 75. And so, especially because April really, really dogged. In April, I only used 57%. So I started wondering, do I need to evaluate my goal? Do I need to change what I expect of myself and what I'm aiming at just to be reasonable? So I took into account all these factors, like the fact that that I have that stimulus check and that that's going to supplement my rent. And I took into account the hazard pay, and I also kind of built in an assumed date of it stopping. I just assumed it might run out. I can't depend on it forever. So I made the assumption that that might end at the end of July. And then I actually went down to my freezer and I took inventory of all my food. How much meat do I have? Again, I follow a carnivore diet, and I can eat once a day, and I'd like to try to do that again. I was doing it for a long time for the season of Lent, and felt great. And anyway, I know I can do that, and it ends up really not feeling like a challenge at all. So if I were to go back to eating once a day, how long would my food last? So I could stretch out how long it is before I have to shop again. And I right now have about 43 days of food available, so I don't need to grocery shop until sometime in late June. And then what else did I factor in? It's really exciting, again, that there's no interest on my student loan, my big one. And so I just wanted to kind of look at the rest of the year and what could it mean. And I also assumed things like I plan on using my bike a lot to run around town and do anything. So I'm not driving very much, even though gas is really cheap right now. But at some point, and I'm just guessing, September it tends to get a little chilly around here, and we might even start getting early snowfall. So in September, I assumed that I double my driving. And in all of these months, I have a gas budget, even though I'm nowhere near touching it right now. But in September, I doubled the gas budget because I might drive more, and I might even be able to go to church again, which is 25 miles one way. In the summer, I'm hoping to ride my bike to go there a couple times if we even get to do it. So anyway, I just kind of tried to factor in as many things that I could think of and when they would happen. And then I calculated out, like, based on my average wages plus the hazard pay plus the stimulus check minus the expenses I know that will happen, what are reasonable goals for each of the months till the end of the year. And it's not bad. So in May, it would be reasonable to have a goal of using 65% of my net income towards my debt. But then June and July, it would be reasonable, and I'm excited, it would be reasonable for me to shoot for 85. And that's awesome. And then for August and through the rest of the year, it looks completely reasonable to keep shooting for the goal of 75% or more of my net income used on my debt. So, of course, it was great to do this check-in because I won't be disappointed in May. I won't be discouraged by shooting for 65% at this point. And then things can really get cooking and I can make that goal. And I counted that stimulus check as income. So it's not like my percentage got better because I had this income that I wasn't counting. I counted it as income, and I still come out looking pretty cool. So I'm going to shoot for it. I'm going to keep going. And the other exciting thing I did was I added up what I think I can pay on my student loans while there's no interest. And this is why I got so excited. I had to tell you and not wait to record this at any other time. But I've already paid in April when there was no interest, and I'm about to pay in May once I get paid. And then June, July, August, September, those payments will be still while there's no interest. The interest resumes on October 1st. So this is just amazing. In this period of time, I might knock out $10,000 of principal. So whatever the percentage of my income is, like, I might knock out $10,000 of principal by the end of September. So that's a very motivating number. And I am pretty sure I can say no to like pork rinds for the sake of kicking $10,000 of debt's ass. So that's the update to the update. And I will keep you posted.